Hey, it's Don Williams with Don Williams Global here for my mentor session for Accelerators organization in February 2024. And so I've got a bunch of questions that I'll share my thoughts, feelings, some tips, some tricks on, and we'll start out. And here's question number one. In my opinion, how important is it for me as a new entrepreneur to possess or learn sales skills in order to start and or begin growing my company? So this question, how important is it to possess or learn sales skills to start or begin growing your company? And the simple answer to this is there's nothing more important than knowing how to sell whatever your product, service, or experience is. If you can't sell it, the business will not exist. And so nothing more important. Maybe if you're fundraising, if you're that type of entrepreneur, that might actually come first. But following right on its heels will be, how do I meet strangers, not just people I know, how do I meet strangers and present my product, service, or experience in a manner not to make them buy, to make it very easy for them to buy. And so the number one skill for all entrepreneurs is how do we sell whatever it is that we sell. So there's nothing more important. Two, how soon in my business should I start tracking my numbers and software in a tool like QuickBooks? And at what point do I hire a bookkeeper or just keep doing it myself? Great question. So my answer is you should begin tracking your numbers as soon as you have numbers. Okay. The data that you accumulate over the history of the business will be immensely valuable to you in the future about how you grew the business, what happened, mistakes, things that you did very well. Okay. And so if you're intimidated by an accounting program like QuickBooks, start out in something like Excel and merely track income and expenses. And if you have investment into your company, go ahead and build at least a basic balance sheet so that you have an idea. You'll need both the P&L, profit and loss statement, which is basically your income and expenses, and your balance sheet, what the company is worth, any hard assets the company may own, and that may be something as simple as a lawnmower. It also might be something like a building, okay, and everything in between. But you'll need both of those as you move forward in your entrepreneurial journey to track how well you're doing. And ultimately, a business exists for only two reasons. Everything in that business falls under the umbrella of either bringing money into the business or keeping money from leaving the business. So many times young entrepreneurs, brand new entrepreneurs, look at the business as I'm going to go provide this good or service and the money will take care of itself. And to a degree, that's kind of true, but you must build the business on firm financial principles of we're going to provide a product, service, or experience at this cost. This will be our cost of goods, and we're going to sell it for this. We'll have this much margin, and here's how we will make money. Because a business only exists to bring money in and to keep money from leaving. And so that's kind of important to focus on that really day one. Here's question three. What value does or can a mentor bring to me as a business owner? I've heard that having business mentors can be integral to me as an entrepreneur as I grow my business. I'd love to hear your thoughts as why you think that is. I personally believe that almost every entrepreneur can use a mentor or mentors as they look to grow their business. And so to me, the principle of mentorship is basically this simple. If I walk to the top of Mount Everest. I climb the summit all the way to the top of Mount Everest. And then if you, at some point later, some point in the future, you want to climb to the top of Mount Everest, if you put your feet in my footsteps, so you retrace my exact journey, there's no way really that you can end up anywhere but the top of Mount Everest. And that to me is the beauty of a mentor. You want a mentor who's been there, done that, and who can provide their experience from the other side of the experience. So as you're launching your entrepreneurial journey, there's all these experiences in front of you, but the mentor, while they still have experiences in front of them, they also have a ton of experiences behind them where they can just tell you how that worked. And so that's a little like just getting the answers to the questions on a test, not actually learning the material, but just getting the answers, and will really speed your process and progress. And the other thing I would tell you about a mentor is this: when you engage with a mentor, you should have a specific goal. We'll know we're successful when this has happened and you're working towards a specific goal. When you've accomplished that goal, you may want to set another goal with that mentor, or you may want to look for an additional mentor. But mentors, very valuable in your journey as an entrepreneur and truthfully in life. Question next is, if the revenue from my business isn't quite making me enough money, do you think it's okay to have a side hustle or side job of some sort to keep money in while I'm building revenues for my company? Now, this is to me is an interesting question. So keep in mind, question number one is how important is it to either have or learn sales skills? And I said that was job one. So this question is, if my company is not doing enough business and I need additional cash, is it okay to start a side hustle or side gig to generate that cash? And I'm going to kind of reframe that. So I really think that if you're full-time employed and thinking about starting a business, that you shouldn't actually go full-time in the business until the business provides enough income to let the W-2 position go. Okay, it makes sense to me for the business to be the side hustle until it can become the hustle. If you do it the other way, if you launch the business, let go of your W-2 spot, okay, and now you have to do a side hustle to generate, you're stealing time, effort, attention, money from the business. And so hopefully you've thought and planned and are willing to roll your sleeves up and work hard enough to grow that business to an acceptable level immediately, because that's really where you need to be before you launch the business full time. What's one thing you wish you would have known about how hard it would be to become a business owner when you started? And what did you do to overcome it? Great question. What's one thing you wish you would have known about how hard it would be to be a business owner when you started? And what did you do to overcome it? I'm going to answer that in kind of a unique way. I'm glad, and I think most entrepreneurs didn't know how difficult things would be at times. And had they known, they might not have started their business. They might not have launched that. They probably went into it very optimistic, thinking things were going to go very well, and they would have this straight line trajectory towards financial success. But the reality is that rarely happens. I think Steve Jobs sold a van for $1,500 at one point. to have some money to feed what would later become Apple computers. And so entrepreneurship is hard. And anybody who tells you that it's just easy, I don't think they're being accurate with you. But keep this in mind, not being an entrepreneur, it's hard too. Working for a company for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, hopefully never being let go, never being downsized, hopefully building a retirement, okay, putting up with the fact that you have to ask people for everything that you do in that company, that's hard. And so I guess my counsel to you would be this: pick your hard, okay? And if it is entrepreneurship, okay, there is a certain amount of hard, okay, but the benefits to me, I'm a 37-year entrepreneur, the benefits far outweigh the pain. And so I don't know if there's anything I would want to know how hard it was going to be, for fear it would have scared me off and I would not have started. Next question. I spent so much time doing administrative work and producing and delivering the product for my customers that my business revenues are suffering. How do I get more sales when I don't have the time to go out and network and do the selling activities? It's a tough one, and I don't know that you're going to like my answer, but remember the very first question: how important is it to have sales skills or to learn sales skills? And it's of paramount importance. There's nothing more important than selling what you do. And so for this question, I would tell you this: same thing, nothing more important. And so literally you may have to block your calendar that I'm going to spend these 3 hours a day only on prospecting and sales activities, and we'll just figure out how to make everything else work around that. It's so easy to kind of get lost and to shoot a bunch of time, kill a bunch of time in non-revenue producing activities, but nothing's more important for your company than generating that revenue. Think about it like a sports team, like a football team. A football team that scores 50 points a game, that has a very strong offense, they win not every game, but almost every game they play. A team that scores 10 points, okay, that their offense is lackluster, is not very strong, they don't win very many games. Same thing with a business. A business that makes a lot of sales and has a lot of revenue, they will survive and thrive most of the time. On the other hand, the number one killer of all businesses is just that you don't do enough business. And so you want to be sure that your priorities are straight and that you're spending your time on the most important activity in the business, which is bringing in new dollars to the business every day. And in my own client, my own consulting practice, one point I try and get across to my clients is this: you want to have deposits every day of your business. And to do that, you have to ask people to buy every day of your business. And to do that, you have to do marketing every day of your business. And so any day you skip marketing, or any day that you skip selling activities, you're in effect saying and choosing there's a day in the future when it's okay with me not to have any deposits. And that's never going to be good and healthy for your business. So block the time, make it happen. Nothing more important that you can do there. Next question. I have started to hire my first few teammates, and it seems difficult to get people to be passionate about my business as I am. How do I get people to believe in the company as much as I do in order to grow? So that's a great question, and I don't know that you're going to be thrilled with my answer, because the question is, how do I get people to be as passionate about my business as I am? And I'm going to tell you that unless they have ownership in your business, they're not going to be as passionate about your business as you are. And why? Because it's your business and you're passionate about it. They work in the business, and I'm not saying they can't be passionate, and in fact they can be passionate, but as employees, it's unrealistic to expect them to be as passionate as owners. Now, some businesses grant ownership to early employees, and that's a pretty complex thought process, and so I'm not recommending you do that without some counsel. But realize this, your employee can be passionate about the business, maybe not to the level that you are, but more passionate than the current level of passion they have. And here's the secret to that. Most business owners, most entrepreneurs are always telling their employees, here's what I want, here's what the business needs, here's what the business wants, here's what I need. And the reality is this, your employee isn't thinking about what you want or need, your employee is thinking about what they want or need. And that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. Okay, what you want to do is you want to tap into their motivation and align what you and your business want and need with what they want and need. And so when they're accomplishing what they want and need to make their life better, they're also driving your business and your life forward. So very difficult to get people to care about your business as much as you do. And in fact, I don't think that's possible. Okay, but it's not hard to see things from their point of view and to deliver messaging and programming and incentive from their point of view that drives your business forward. And I think that's the best way to do that. Next question. My team members keep coming to me for guidance on every single decision. How do I get them to start thinking for themselves and not coming to me for every little thing? I've got so much to do, my mind is elsewhere, and I just want them to do their job. How can I get them to make their own decisions? Man, that's a great question. And empowering staff to make decisions is crucial to growing your business, okay? Because literally, if you have to decide everything, you are the bottleneck. And the bottle is wide at the bottom, and there's a bottleneck at the top, and that's where everything slows down. If you are the bottleneck in your business, everything will slow down. So first thing is this. Have you told your staff in clear English that it's okay and I want you to make this decision without coming to me? And many times entrepreneurs who ask a question like that, their answer is no, I've never told them. And if you haven't told them, how were they supposed to know? Were they supposed to read your mind? My experience is that employees are not good mind readers. And there is a little intimidation maybe in telling people you want them to make decisions. But if you want them to make decisions, you should tell them that you want them to make decisions. Now, it's probably a good idea to put some boundaries about that. Okay, so you make decisions up to this level. Okay, and then what I want to hear is I want to hear from you in a normal weekly report or daily meeting or weekly meeting. Here's what happened, here's what I did, and here's the outcome that came from that. Okay, and that way we'll learn and grow together on how to make the best decisions on whatever stimulus has happened as we go forward. But the very first thing I would tell you is you have to communicate that it's okay and that you want them to make decisions. Most entrepreneurs haven't, yet they wonder why they don't. And it's like, you got to tell people and you got to be clear. Remember that clarity, sometimes entrepreneurs aren't very clear in their communication to staff, teammates, contractors, vendors, etc. And they think they're being polite by putting all these words around it and being kind of wishy-washy. The opposite is actually true. Clarity is kind. Tell people exactly what you expect. Stick to it. Don't you be wishy-washy. And then let them make the choices. And understand, every once in a while they'll make the wrong choice. Okay? But if you are hyper critical of that, if you're overly critical, you're training them not to make choices. And so if it's not the end of the world, you should probably treat it like it's not the end of the world. Treat it as a learning opportunity and then move on. Great question. Next question. How do I figure out how much I should pay myself? Or how should I pay myself as I'm putting all the money back in the business? Do I pay myself just enough to pay my own personal bills, or do I put myself on a steady salary? How do I know how much to invest back in the company? Man, that's a great question. And I really don't have enough information to answer that for the specific individual. I will tell you this in kind of broad strokes, general terms. You must or should be paying yourself with the same regularity that you're paying employees. If you're working in the business, you're not an absentee owner. So you're working every day and every week, and you pay employees every week or every 2 weeks, you should be being compensated for the worker part of your day, okay, every week or every 2 weeks. And if you don't, and every entrepreneur has gone through some time frame where they didn't receive any pay, okay, but you want those to be short, okay, not long and prolonged. But you should be taking money out of the business in return for your W-2 labor, okay, with the same regularity you pay employees. Additionally, you should be managing your business to where you have a profit. And sometimes that's as simple as this. Rather than bringing money into the business, paying all of our expenses, looking and seeing if there's any left, and if there is, pushing that out as distributions to the owner. Many times it's as simple as this. I'm going to take, and I'll just use it as an example, 10%. I'm going to take 10% of every dollar that comes in, and I'm going to immediately push it over into a savings or reserve account, and I'm going to call that our profit. And we're going to manage this business on 90% of revenues. And there's a guy who wrote a great book, Mike McCullough, it's called Profit First, and he talks a lot about that. But sometimes having a profit is as simple as taking the profit first and then running the company out of what's left. And so that's a good strategy for that. And then as the company grows, you want your compensation to grow. Keep in mind that if you had a business and for a long, long time it never paid, then it's not fulfilling what a business is supposed to do. A business should bring money in and keep money from leaving, okay? And that money would be profit, which would come to you as the owner. Last question. I struggle with confidence. What can I do in my business and life to build my confidence so that I can close more deals, hire better people, and just generally have more confidence to succeed in life? So one, if you were one of my clients, I would tell you, first, I'd like that to be the last time you ever say, I struggle. I think struggle is a really strong word. And when a person says, I struggle, I think they're giving permission for whatever follows those two words to give them a challenge in their life. And so I'm learning how to handle, I'm getting better at, okay, I think those are much better words. And words are so important with my own clients. I give them a words worksheet where these words are green. Use these words a lot. These words are yellow and red. Try and avoid these words at all times, both in your own self-talk and certainly to teammates, contractors, vendors, customers, prospects. Okay, because there are certain words that immediately create a negative in people's minds, and obviously you want to avoid those words. So here's the easiest way I know of to build confidence. And keep in mind, it's human to have imposter syndrome, which is just doubts about, am I really good enough? And I don't care who you are, everybody has that at some point, okay? But the interesting thing about your brain is this: your brain really can only consciously occupy one thought at a time. It can't occupy two thoughts. And so when you have that doubt, I wonder if I'm good enough, I hope this goes well, I feel overwhelmed, you want to immediately cover that thought with, I'm good enough to do this. I deserve this. Okay, this is probably going to go my way. You want to cover that negative thought with a positive thought. And that needs to happen all throughout your day. The other strategy I would tell you is this: start your day with half a dozen or a dozen positive affirmations. And so one of my favorite affirmations for myself personally is, I can, I will, and I am. And then whatever I'm doing, I'm building this business, I'm winning this deal, I'm doing whatever. I can win the deal, I will win the deal, and I am winning the deal. And the reason that's a strong affirmation for me is I can says I have the ability. I'm capable. Okay. It could happen. All right. And then I will says it's my intention. I am working towards that. I'm going to do everything in my power to make that a reality. And then I am just projects us into the future to where I can see it, feel it. I've already won the deal in my mind. And so that's one of my own personal positive affirmations. If you will start every day with, like I said, half a dozen or a dozen affirmations, write them down, get on the internet, look for positive quotes, let those kind of feed your brain into your own positive quote, and then write them down, put them in Word, print them out, and every morning, okay, read and even say those aloud. We know this with our brains. When we read or see things, we're bringing things into our brain. But to complete the cycle, we have to push it out. And so that's writing or speaking. Okay, so you want to bring information in and push it out, okay, to complete the cycle in your brain, because your brain is a magnificent piece of machinery and will help you. So that's this month's questions for Accelerators Organization, and thank you so much. I'll see you next time, and if I can help you in any way, please let me know. Thank you. I'm Don Williams. See you next time.